Well, I did it, folks. Before the end of the series even, I finished decorating this room, including the roof. Aren't you proud of me? I actually got this finished, including this nook back here in the back that I have absolutely no use for, that I just put in for decorative purposes before I knew I was going to block it off with machines. But hey, now that we've got this done, I never actually have to come back in here, right? Right? That's how this works? Hello everybody, I'm Martin. Welcome to another episode of Glacial Awakening, and we're finally clearing in on the end of this pack. Although looking at the last chapter here, it looks like we still have quite a bit to do, but we're gonna show the truth of the lies here today, and we're gonna clean out most of the rest of this. But before we do that, let's go talk about the ultimate induction cell real fast, because that's the blocker I had to actually finishing out this pack. Because one of the things I did was create all of the crafting patterns I need to automate this so that we can actually pull this up and see what we're missing. And two things we're missing are endstone and gold. The endstone, I just have to go to the end and go dig a bunch up. That's easy. That should only take like a minute. The gold's going to be trickling in from the laser base as well as the Hearthwell ore puller, so we'll get that pretty soon. We need a lot more uranium though. This is going to be the core problem going forward, but I'm going to turn on the Feed the Beast quest task screen to pull the energy out of this. At some point, I've got it mostly turned off right now, just to keep the fission reactor going full time, because like you can see right now, it turned off and then it turned back on again. So once I put a bigger cable on this and just start sucking power out of it full time, that should put an end to that. But we can't do that quite yet because we need our power for today. But coming back in here, you can see that we've got most of the rest of the materials. I've handmade like all of the enriched alloys because I realized I could put a level emitter behind the machine to make these to always keep us at like 1200, but it just wasn't worth the effort. So I just made them in stacks over a relatively short amount of time. Our other biggest problem is we are going to need more resonating gems, and I'm blocked by liquid starlight right now. I could make more wells, but that shouldn't actually be proved to be too big an issue. The bigger problem that I've run into with this is that there's no machine that acts as a player. There's no mechanical users or automated users or world interactors of any type that I can find in this pack. So I can't actually put the gem in the light well automatically. I can drain it automatically, but I can't fill it up because you can't use hoppers. It has to be like a player input. So I guess I should refill this while I'm here. And the last thing is that we need a lot of lithium and thorium. The thorium for the reactor, but the lithium just for, we need dust to make some of the components. And remember how I said the fusion multi-block and the fission multi-block aren't all that useful? I immediately realized I lied on that. So here we can make thorium from tin plus zirconium pretty easily. So I can mass produce fuel for the fission plant. So that part's not a problem now. And well, lithium is just carbon busted in two, so I could just take a couple diamonds, grind those up into a ton of carbon, and make all of the lithium I could ever want. Like, I'm just constantly processing carbon all the time, and the output chest is just full, which frankly is overkill because I already have all the lithium I need now. So I suppose we should start banging these out, and we'll start right here with the Hand of Time, because this one's a bit of a joke because we can just make nether stars as we showed the last episode. And all we need is a Spirit of Calling, which I've already got a bunch made. So I guess let's do this. Let's just toss that on there and then throw that out. And there's the lightning. And there's the hand. Now, I've got to be clear, I have no clue what this does because even going to the index, I clearly don't have this unlocked. Next up, let's get another magic mod item done, the Draco Arcanus Scepter, which looks like it might be scary, but surprise, surprise, it's just another star surrounded by these obsidian ingots, which sounds scary, but are just iron nuggets around obsidian. And this staff right here, well, just more of those and some ender pearls. All right, and that one was super easy. And this one's fun because this shoots magic like a bow that causes beams of light that explode stuff. Not the most humane of weapons. And now let's get another magic one done, the Unending Bowl, which again looks like it might be scary, but while we've got all of this, it's just that we don't have the Dugonia, except the Dugonia is just a very simple pyre crafting ritual. I mean, it's just grass, lapis lazuli, lily pads, which we might have to get these. I'm not sure if we have them, but we can just get them with the mutation paste pretty easily. Oh, but I have 200 of them, so that's certainly not a problem. Honestly, the part I find most disappointing about this is that I only even have to make one of these because this makes 3 of them. Ironically, the hardest part of this recipe is the mortar because I don't keep the permafrost in my A2 system. But there we go, another one complete. And this one does more or less exactly what you would expect. It's an infinite water source, which we are long past since needing. All right, so that finishes up the magic mods other than the Celestial Crystal, but we'll get to this in the next episode because this requires us doing some more work in Astral Sorcery yet and building another structure. So we'll get to this. It's not complicated. I did it in E2E. If you've watched those, you probably saw me do it. It's frankly something I'm not even looking all that forward to doing because I have done it before. So I guess let's move on to the tech mods, and we might as well just start right here with the Stellar Capacitor. And this is made up of stellar alloy ingots, which are nether stars, melodic alloy ingots, which we made last episode, and clay. And the melodic alloy ingots are just popped chorus fruit and end steel. It also requires these melodic capacitors, which are made up of crystalline capacitors, which are melodic alloy ingots, an end steel ingot, and then these are crystalline alloy ingots with some prismarine, which I'm probably going to have to make some of these in my combustion chamber because I don't feel like making a deep mob learning recipe for it when this is not complicated at all. And then either octadic or energized capacitors, which is vivid, and energetic, which is silver, blah, blah, blah. And I'm probably just going to make the octopedic anyhow. So I'm actually going to go automate a chunk of these things so that I don't have to make them by hand, if not all of them, because I could actually use these in machines probably, honestly, although they are kind of pricey to make. All right, so I've got everything loaded up into my ME system, and it turns out the prismarine crystals were really easy. I could just atomic reconstruct some nether quartz, so that was super simple. So now we just have to start and wait, because this is probably going to take a bit because I got to make a bunch of ingots. Well, I'm not going to lie, one of the first things we need to do is make a better capacitor for my alloy furnace because it's been taking ridiculously long amounts of time to make the various ingots. So, yeah, I think that's one of the first things we need to do after this finishes. But there we finally go. And up on the wall it goes. So now we should get to the one that I was going to do a while back, which is the player interface, where our main blocking point previously was the Wither Skull, and the other thing we mostly need are empowered diamantine crystals, which are also used in the ender casing. And this isn't Enigmatica 2 expert, this is super, super, super easy. So I guess this is not going to be an issue at all. So that's another one very, very quickly done. And now let's get the Weather Obelisk done. And this, well, we've already got almost all the hard parts for this handled. The only real new thing here is the Weather Crystal, which is just all the other crystals we've used before, and then this Ender Crystal, which we did last time, which requires another Enderman, which thankfully I have. All right, and another one done. Which brings us to the final one we're going to finish today, and the second hardest one in the pack, the Jar of Raw Eggs. Which, yeah, I have no idea why this one exists, folks. But there we go, only two things remaining. Astral Sorcery and a whole bunch of uranium. But now we have the Hall of Trophies here, mostly complete, because where else am I going to store them but in the kitchen? Anyhow, if you found this episode interesting and entertaining, please consider like or subscribe if you're new. As always, I'm Ard. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.